Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, Army arrests a syndicate allegedly involved in child trafficking between Plateau and Anambra states. Rescues 5-year-old girl from the gang. Federal government asks international anti-corruption body Transparency International to support rather than condemn its anti-corruption crusade. And in continuation of our assessment of President Muhammadu Buhari's 3 years administration, tonight we focus on the activities of the federal legislature. And leaders of the North and South Korea meet again in an effort to save the planned historic summit between President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un from collapse.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's stock market loses 416 billion naira in 5 straight sessions as foreign investors raise concerns over 2018 budget delay.
On sports news tonight, Gareth Bale scores twice as Real Madrid retain UEFA Champions League title with a 3-1 win over Liverpool in Kiev.
We begin tonight from Plateau State, where men of the Nigerian army arrested a syndicate specialized in child trafficking between Plateau and Anambra states. The spokesperson of the army Operation Safe Haven, Major Umaru Adamu, explains that the vehicle conveying crates of eggs with a 5-year-old girl was intercepted at a checkpoint along Angwarugora Road in Zanga local government area of Kaduna State, with the driver not able to substantiate his relationship with the girl, but instead took to his heels and was apprehended by the security operatives.
This gang, allegedly made up of suspects who specialize in child trafficking, was intercepted by operatives of Special Task Force Operation Safe Haven during a stop and search duty in Sanga local government area of Kaduna State. Parading the suspects at the headquarters of the task force in Jos, spokesman of Operation Safe Haven explains how the syndicate attempted to cover up the abduction of a 5-year-old from her home in Jos, Plateau State.
How is he related to the little girl? He said that she's his daughter. He's her father, her daddy. But when our person tried to find out her name from him, the man could not be able to say what her name is. And in fact, what even create our suspicion and make things to be more complicated was that when she refers to him as uncle, as against daddy, that he said he was her father.
Mother of the girl, Georgina Jock, still recuperating from beatings she received from the father of the child after her disappearance, narrates her ordeal.
She was with her younger brother at home. I left them, only the two of them, but I came back and she wasn't around.
The suspects, still under investigation, also told journalists how they got involved in this business.
Personally, I would say I am the really person who put them into problem, in the sense that a sister is requesting for child adoption. That's normal child adoption. I went to the orphanage, I couldn't get. Then I asked, is there any way possible that we can make it? Then this is all the narrated is exactly what happens, and they give the baby to me.
He was the one that went to the house, took the baby out of the house. Then I now called him. I said, Kenneth, where are you? He said he's around Maraban Jama.
The suspects are to be handed over to the relevant agency for prosecution.
The federal government is asking global anti-corruption body Transparency International to support its fight against corruption rather than condemn it. The Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed, was speaking to the global chair of Transparency International, Ferreira Rubio, who is on her first ever visit to Africa in Abuja. He wants Transparency International and its affiliates to show more understanding for the sociological complexes of fighting corruption in Nigeria because of the limited control over the action of the federating states. The minister says, quote, Nigeria has never had a more transparent, more accountable government than the Buhari administration, and the country is succeeding in its anti-corruption fight because the fight is being led by a president whose integrity is beyond reproach Even his worst critics won't say he indulges in or encourages corruption. End of quote. Ms. Ferreira Rubio, on her part, explained that Transparency International is not an opposition body, but a non-governmental organization working in more than 100 countries. She says that Transparency International will continue to offer support through civil society organizations and the private sector to foster the fight against corruption. In the meantime, without tackling corruption, it will be difficult for the country to develop. Those are the words of the Ebonyi State Governor Dave Umahi during the state's 2018 Democracy Day media interaction. At the event, the governor also took out time to reel out his administration's achievement in the areas of welfare, infrastructure, education, health and security. The media interaction, which held at the Government House in Abakaliki, the state capital, is part of events lined up to commemorate Nigeria's Democracy Day on May the 29th.
We must be able to separate our fight against corruption from politics. Mr. President means well, he's a man of good integrity, but we must also ensure that we have the fear of God in whatever thing we do. So in our fight against corruption, let it not have any political coloration. It will help us. I support that those that took our money should be able to bring back the money. But somebody should not wear a cloth today in the name of a political party, very corrupt. He will now wear another cloth in another political party, becomes a saint. That's not a fight against corruption. Today, they are writing all kinds of fictitious petitions against us to EFCC. And we are again asking EFCC, don't just mind the ministries, come full-blown and investigate all our ministries. But before you investigate the books, you must go to site. You walk from the known to the unknown. But we will resist every political intimidation using any agency of government at any level. Ebonyi State is at home with this government. And for those that are pretending that are, supporting the president, they just want to come and loot this state again. The looting for 8 years was never enough for them.
Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State. Moving on to other stories now, amidst calls for better legislation to curb the menace of drug abuse in the country, the President of the Nigerian Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, has pledged the commitment of the National Assembly to ensure effective legislation aimed at reducing cases of drug abuse to the barest minimum. The President of the Senate says that the recent passage of the National Drug Control Bill and the Mental Health Bill are measures put in place by the National Assembly to check cases of drug abuse. He was speaking to officials of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory.
The issue of drug abuse and how to ensure a healthy nation is a major subject of discussion as the President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria leads a delegation to the office of the Senate President. He commends the Senate President for the 1% Consolidated Revenue Fund for primary health care appropriated in the 2018 budget.
Indeed, something that gladdens our heart is the issue of the 1% consolidated revenue that you have. Only God will pay you for what you have done. It will change the landscape of healthcare delivery in Nigeria. It's for the poor people, because it is so hard financially to be paying out of pocket. That is why I specifically sent a press release, and I'm sure it's carried all over the papers today, to thank you and all the Senate members of the 8th National Assembly for doing this to the nation.
Expressing concern over the high level of infant and maternal mortality rate, the Senate President reaffirms the commitment of the legislature to monitor the use of funds allocated to the health sector.
This is an important provision that will definitely improve the life of a lot of our people, especially the poorest of our people. It will provide them to be able to have medical services affordable, available, and to make the country healthier and to make the nation stronger.
With assurances of effective collaboration between the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and the Senate President, gifts are exchanged to cement the relationship.
Thank you very much. Distinguished senators, you may join them after.
The President of the Senate indeed seems to have a lot at hand, as leaders of the striking Joint Health Sector Union are seeking his intervention to end the ongoing industrial action that is already having a grinding effect on the services of public hospitals in Nigeria. The health workers are hoping that the Senate President will assist them to facilitate a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, since both the Ministry of Health and that of Labour and Employment have failed to address their demands. In the meantime, the health union workers have also gone to court to challenge an order of the industrial court compelling them to suspend their strike.
The industrial action embarked upon by members of the Joint Health Sector Union last month is already entering its 6th week, and it does appear there is no end in sight. Several reconciliation meetings with the two ministers, the Minister of Health and that of Labour and Employment, all ended in a deadlock. At this meeting with the Senate President in Abuja, the striking health workers seek the intervention of the Senate President to address their demands.
Which to emphasize that the ongoing strike wouldn't have occurred if the Honorable Minister of Health had carried out his own side of the bargain. To arrest the situation so that the workers get back to work, we are here to implore Your Excellency to use your good offices as a leader of the Nigerian people through their representatives from all over the country to seek an audience with His Excellency.
To see how we can first put an end to this strike.
In his remarks, the Senate President gave assurances of the lawmakers to investigate the issues raised with a view to address the impasse.
I've heard your opening remarks. I will spend some time to discuss with you and get more details to see how we can first put an end to this strike. I can assure you that on our part is that we will make sure that the right thing is done, and we will make sure that this matter is resolved.
However, the striking health workers are also challenging a court order from the National Industrial Court in Abuja, compelling them to suspend their strike action, just as the National Association of Nigerian Students asks for an urgent resolution of the impasse.
Johesu had, before the receipt of this court order, filed court processes in the National Industrial Court and the Court of Appeal on the 21st of May 2018, challenging the local standard of the NGO and the jurisdiction of the court to entertain the suit.
NAS, after careful study of the situation, pleading with Johesu to suspend strike in the interest of millions of Nigerian students and their families, but also gives the federal government a 10-day ultimatum to dialogue with the striking health workers and resolve every issues, keeping the Nigerian Medical Association, the doctors, at bay, since they have already received their salary adjustment since 2014.
The endless strike in the health sector is obviously not in the interest of patients in public hospitals who need quality medical care, hence the urgent need to end the crisis.